everybody, it's Kristin. So the much awaited, much anticipated 4 Looks 1 palettes with the Naked 3 is starting today. And I just want to say, if you are new to 4 Looks 1 palette, I think this is maybe my 15th-ish or something like that. I link a playlist below. Also, I use the same base, so the same foundation, powder, bronzer, all 4 looks, and I also use the same mascara, all 4 looks. Everything else I'll tell you throughout the look, and all of those things that are the same are listed below. I just wanted to let you guys know that right off the bat so you're not wondering through all of them what I'm using. Okay, so Naked 3. The very first look that I did today actually didn't, I didn't exactly, I'm checking it out in the mirror. It didn't exactly have the contrast I was hoping for, which is one of my concerns about this palette. But anyway, I took Nooner, which, let me just see, is this color right here. I took that on the outer third and on the inner third. And then in the smack in the middle, I used Burnout, which is this one right here. And a real fluffy brush, I used the color Limit as a transition color. And I had already put Brulee from MAC over my whole lid, and so I just left that. I didn't add any additional brow highlight. And then I took, with the brush that comes in here actually on the flat end, I used Factory just underneath my lash line. So I'll zoom you in and then we'll come back out and talk about the rest. So here's the look. On the upper lash line and upper waterline, I used my Stilo waterproof liner from Chanel in Espresso, or number 20. You can certainly use any brown eyeliner that you have. That's just the one I'm using up at the moment. And then for my blush, I have the Tarte Bronzer Blush in the pink bronze. Looks like that. And then on my lips today, I used the Stay Matte from Essence in Smooth Berry, which is really bright, but I toned that down with the Maybelline gloss in Almond Crush. The second look that I've created for you today, I used a base. I don't normally use a base when I'm doing a 4 Looks 1 palette. I usually try to just let the colors in the palette speak for itself, but I know from experience with this particular shade that you need to have something down, I think, just to kind of make it stick a little bit more. So the base that I used is the Maybelline Color Tattoo in Inked in Pink. I've also used this before with the Laura Mercier Shadow Stick in Pink Opal, but I wanted to use one that you get at the drugstore. So the color that's all over my lid that I'm referring to is Dust, and it is a little bit dusty. Everybody has talked about that. So that is the color that I used all over my lid. Again, I used kind of a combination of Liar and Limit, these two matte shades, on a fluffy brush into the crease and up. And then I have Strange as my highlight color under my brow bone. And then on a relatively precise brush, and this is the Sigma brush, the E56. So it's real small and very precise. I placed Dark Side, which is, it's like a satin finish color right there. I placed that in the crease. And then I just took a MAC 217 and kind of buffed it out, if that makes sense. I just kind of, I don't know, I don't ever do a cut crease because I have hooded eyes, and let's face it, that just doesn't work so well with hooded eyes. So, but I just wanted something a little more precise than my normal kind of extra blended look. So anyway, I will zoom you in. Okay, so here's the look. The liner that I used on my eyes today is MAC's PowerPoint, I believe this is, yes, in Gray Utility. And then I did actually I used that on my upper waterline as well as my upper lash line. And then I did smudge it out a little bit with that Dark Side on the upper lash line as well. For blush today, I used let me take the brush out, the Merle Norman in Mauvelous. And on my lips today, I have the NYX Butter Lipstick in Hunk, which just makes me want to say, hunka burnin' love. For the third look, I used Limit, just this matte color. It's the lighter of the two mattes. I used that all over my lid and just up to the crease. In the crease, on a fluffy brush, a MAC 224, I used Mugshot. Just a step out for me. I don't generally use shimmery shades in the crease for some reason, so I was trying something a little bit different. And then I also pulled that down just a little bit on the outside corner. I didn't love how that was translating on my lid versus how I thought it would in my eye or in my head. So I took a little bit of Buzz and I put that just kind of over the top of Limit. Not heavily, just kind of over the top of Limit. And I liked that a little bit better. And then on that Sigma E36, which is that little tiny wispy brush, I took some of Limit just on the outside edge of where I had that mugshot. And then I used Strange as my brow bone highlight. I also took mugshot underneath my lash line. So I wanted a little bit of that shimmer. And then on the outer kind of 2/3, I used Dark Side just to deepen it up a little bit on that lower lash line. So I'll zoom you in. So here's the look. For liner today, I just have the Avon Super Shock in black on my upper lash line, and then in my upper waterline, I have the Tarte Skinny Smolder Eyes because I feel like that stays much better. For blush today, this was sent to me by a friend of mine. This is a Pure blush, and I don't have anything from, I didn't until she sent this to me from Pure. And this is in Bare It All. Really, really pretty. And on my lips today, I have the Neutrogena Moisture Smooth Color Stick in Berry something. Berry Bright. Okay, fourth and final look today. I did do a little bit more of a dramatic look for you guys. I took Factory, just this color right here, and I have that all over the lid. It's probably fairly obvious. And then I used, again, a combination, I did this a couple of times, of Liar and Limit, so those two matte kind of transition shades. I find Limit to be a tad light and I find Liar to be a tad dark, so I liked mixing them together. I use that as a transition, and I used Strange as my brow bone highlight. I took Trick on the inner corner, but it shows up a little more pink and a little darker pink than it does here in the pan. So I ended up putting a little bit of Strange over the top of that. And then in the outer corner, I used a little bit of Dark Side, which is right here. I kind of used my stamp method I've referred to before. And that method is just in an angled brush like this. And I kind of stamp here and stamp there. And then I use a different brush to blend it out. So I did that with Dark Side. And I think that is it. Aside from then, I took the Sephora Jumbo Eye Crayon in in brown underneath my lash line, and I used Factory over the top of that. I'll do so. Here's the look. Okay, for the rest of my eyes, on my upper lash line, I used the Avon Super Shock in black, and then for my upper waterline as well as my lower waterline, I used the Tarte Skinny Smolder Eyes in Onyx. On my lips today, I have the Tarte Power Pigment in Fearless, which looks like this. These are twist up, by the way. And then for my blush, I have the Essence Blush in Baby Doll, which in my opinion is nothing like a baby doll color. Okay, so let's talk about the palette a little bit. So as usual, there are 12 colors in this palette. And of those 12 colors, 3 of them are mattes. I have them swatched on my hand here so that I can show you. This is the top line. So this goes left to right, left to right. So you can kind of see. They, aside from Dust, which I know other people have talked about, they all swatch very nicely, apply very nicely. Dust takes a little bit of effort, but it is truly kind of one of the prettiest finishes with a base underneath it, if that makes sense. So it's kind of, it's just tricky. It's a little bit tricky to work with, but I think it's worth the work. Probably my least favorite thing about this palette is that it's so similar. When I swatch it on my hand, it looks like there's a difference there, but I don't know. I felt it was really difficult for me to come up with different looks for this palette for some reason. And I just don't think that I've had as difficult a time with a palette as I've had with this one, trying to make sure that my looks are different. And I'm not sure I actually accomplished that, quite frankly. So, this palette is very, very rosy, and then at the end, these are kind of some very nice taupes, you know, towards this end of the palette are some very nice taupes. And so if you like those rosy colors, I think this is a great palette. I have been asked a million times which is my favorite of the three. And Naked, the original Naked, so Naked 1 is still my favorite. Absolutely, hands down, still my favorite. But I like those kind of really warm colors. These colors are warm, but I don't know. I don't love this palette. That's kind of what it boils down to. I don't dislike it. It's just not my favorite palette. The palette also does come with a brush, and I'm sure you've seen other people talk about it. And it comes with this flat end right here, and then it comes with a, you know, kind of a fluffier blending brush up here. This is a very nice brush. I like this much more than the brush that came in the Naked 2. My Naked, the original one, had the double-ended liner, so I didn't get a brush in that. But I do find that this actually does blend fairly well. And this is I don't like this so much for lay-down color because it's just, I don't know, I just feel like it doesn't work well enough for me. So I like this for putting color under my lash line. And kind of smoking out or smudging out a line or something like that. But so the brush that comes with this is a very nice brush. One of the questions that I got asked a lot about this palette is, how does it compare to the Lorac Unzipped? I specifically didn't watch anybody else's videos when they excuse me, compared it to the Lorac Unzipped because I wanted to form my own opinion. So there are the swatches of the Lorac Unzipped. And there are the swatches. And I did it on an angle like this, hoping that that would help you guys. I find them to be very different. I find this one, the Lorac Unzipped, to be more kind of bronze. This is more rosy taupe. So I find them to be different. If I had to pick one or the other, I would absolutely pick the Lorac Unzipped. That's just me and my preference. I know I'm in the minority because everybody's oohing and eyeing about this Naked 3 palette. It's not that I just dislike it. It's just not my favorite palette. And if you asked for my opinion, and you're getting it. So those are my feelings on it. I found it a little bit tricky to work with to get different looks. I feel like a lot of the colors, once you swatch them, they apply, or once you apply them on your eye versus swatching them, they apply differently than they actually look, and they apply very similarly, in my opinion. Just me, just my opinion. I knew when this went on sale, it was going to be a hot commodity and that it was going to sell out and that kind of thing. They do seem to have restocked it quickly, but I did buy 2 of them so that I could give one away to you guys. I think I've done that with every Naked palette for looks that I've done. So I do have one to give away, and my rules are always the same, that it's open internationally. If you're under 18, please get your parents' permission. And just leave one comment below and tell me what you're looking forward to with spring. Because I could use some spring in my life. So that's the only rules. And then I will, in about a week, I will go ahead and pick a winner. I notify the winner always via the YouTube messaging system. And then I'm going to try to come back to the video and list the winner's name once I pick the winner, because some people seem to ask me as if I've not given the prize away. I'm not really sure what, but I always notify the winner via the YouTube messaging system. If I don't hear back from them in a couple of days, then I'll pick somebody. All right, so if you have any other questions, go ahead and let me know. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you very soon.